I had a gun in my lap. And I'm sitting there, I'm talking to God, I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do this.
I'm sure you got much things in store for my man.
Yeah, definitely. We got a new album we're working on him to drop in January. Besides that, we about to just drop our R&B stuff.
The Puff Daddy album.
Yeah, what about the Puff Daddy solo project?
A lot of people around Diddy unfortunately passed away due to unusual circumstances, especially if they decide to part ways with him. One such person was Craig Mack, who unfortunately passed away at just the age of 47. Many questions about his experiences with Diddy remain unanswered. Although Craig couldn't share his full story, he held on to the bitterness towards Diddy until his last days. In fact, he made it clear in his final wishes that neither Diddy nor anyone from Diddy's camp was allowed at his funeral. Craig Mack's early relationship with Bad Boy Records. Craig Mack was one of the earliest artists to sign with Diddy's Bad Boy Records, quickly gaining recognition with his 1994 hit single, Flava in Ya Ear. As Bad Boy began to rise in prominence, Mack played a crucial role in establishing the label's reputation. Despite his success, his relationship with Diddy started to unravel behind the scenes. Mack's departure from Bad Boy would mark the beginning of a trend. Many of the label's artists would later follow a similar path, leaving after feeling undervalued and mistreated. After his departure, Mack began speaking about his time at Bad Boy, though he refrained from explicitly naming Diddy. Instead, he shared cryptic remarks about a person who promised to help him with his next album, but ultimately failed to deliver. Fans and industry insiders knew exactly who Mack was referring to, even without him directly mentioning Diddy's name. The core issue revolved around a financial dispute. Mack felt that the terms of the deal were unfair, offering him much less than he deserved. Despite sensing that the deal wasn't in his best interest, Mack accepted, hoping things would turn out for the best. However, as time passed, the other party didn't live up to their end of the agreement. Mack felt betrayed and exploited, echoing a sentiment shared by many artists who left Bad Boy feeling manipulated by the label. This wasn't just about music, it was about the financial exploitation that left artists like Mack questioning their worth and place in the industry. Things escalated further when Mack confronted Diddy, who many believed was the unnamed person in Mack's story. According to reports, the conversation quickly turned hostile, with Diddy allegedly threatening Mack, making him feel unsafe. Mack, who was known for his calm demeanor, found himself in a situation where he feared for his safety. In interviews, Mack later recalled thinking, "Lord, I don't want to do this, but if someone tries to hurt me, I'll have to protect myself." While Craig Mack never openly accused Diddy by name, the tensions between the two were evident. Mack was not the first, nor would he be the last, to experience fallout with Diddy. Over the years, Diddy's reputation within the music industry became increasingly controversial. Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, has been vocal about the rift between Diddy and Mack, claiming that the root of their issues was Mack's refusal to be manipulated. Deal stated that Diddy often had a pattern of taking advantage of artists who trusted him. Mack, realizing the toxic dynamic, eventually made the decision to distance himself from Diddy and Bad Boy entirely. This wasn't an easy move. Mack was fully aware of what it could mean for his career. However, he was determined not to be exploited any longer. The breaking point, one of the most significant points of tension, came when Mack decided to change managers. Believing his new manager had his best interests at heart, Mack stood by this decision. However, Diddy was not pleased and demanded that Mack fire the new manager. When Mack refused to comply, Diddy issued an ultimatum: either fire the manager or you can't work with Bad Boy. Mack's refusal to back down only intensified the friction between them. Diddy's controlling nature was well known within the industry, and he didn't take kindly to Mack asserting his independence. This power struggle further strained their relationship, eventually leading to Mack's exit from the label. It wasn't just about money or management decisions. Mack felt trapped in an environment where he was constantly being disrespected and threatened. The situation became so overwhelming that Mack found himself contemplating extreme measures to protect himself. At his breaking point, Craig Mack faced a profound moment of reflection. One day, while listening to the radio, he heard gospel music that shifted his entire perspective. Mack, who had been consumed by thoughts of revenge and violence, suddenly felt a deep sense of peace. He believed that God was reaching out to him, reminding him that vengeance wasn't the answer. The music helped him realize that he couldn't allow anger and resentment to dictate his actions. This spiritual awakening was so transformative that Mack decided to walk away from his career in Hollywood altogether. He turned his back on the glitz and glam of the music industry, choosing instead to dedicate his life to his faith and personal growth. Final days and unresolved bitterness. Craig Mack's life took a drastically different path after leaving Bad Boy and the mainstream music industry. Sadly, Mack passed away at the age of 47, leaving many questions about his experiences with Diddy unanswered. While he never publicly aired all of his grievances, it was clear that his feelings toward Diddy remained unresolved until the end of his life. In fact, Mack's final wishes included a firm request that neither Diddy nor anyone from Bad Boy be allowed at his funeral. This decision underscored just how deep the bitterness ran. Although Mack found solace in his faith, his difficult relationship with Diddy cast a shadow over his later years. Craig Mack's introduction to Bad Boy Records. Craig Mack's relationship with Diddy began when Mack impressed the rising mogul with his freestyle skills at Manhattan's Club Mecca. At the time, Diddy was in the early stages of building Bad Boy Records and saw Mack's raw talent as an opportunity to help shape the future of his label. After hearing Mack freestyle on the spot, Diddy quickly signed him to Bad Boy, marking the beginning of what seemed like a promising partnership. Mack's debut single, Flava in Ya Ear, became a massive success. The track not only introduced Mack to the world, but also earned him a Grammy nomination, solidifying his place in the hip-hop scene. The song's popularity led to a remix that featured other Bad Boy artists, including Biggie Smalls. However, this remix exposed some underlying tensions. Although Diddy marketed Mack and Biggie as close collaborators, the reality was much more complicated. Behind the scenes, the two didn't get along, and their working relationship was strained from the start. Biggie even admitted that he didn't want to be a part of the Flava in Ya Ear remix, but felt obligated due to Diddy's insistence. Similarly, Mack was hesitant to collaborate, but had little choice, as Diddy pushed both artists into the studio to produce what would become one of the label's iconic tracks. Despite their personal differences, Diddy publicly positioned Mack and Biggie as the cornerstone of Bad Boy Records, often referring to them as essential to the label's success. However, this foundation was far from stable. Shortly after the success of the remix, Mack left Bad Boy Records, signaling that all was not well between him and Diddy. Craig Mack's quiet exit and tensions with Diddy Mack's departure from Bad Boy Records was quiet. And while he didn't publicly criticize Diddy or the label, the split hinted at deeper issues. The relationship between the two, once seen as mutually beneficial, had clearly soured. This wasn't an isolated incident. Many former Bad Boy artists would later share similar stories of dissatisfaction with how they were treated. For example, singer Tanya Blount was promised an album release, but it never materialized. Mace also encountered problems, accusing Diddy of withholding money he was owed. Perhaps most famously, rapper Shyne was dropped from the label after being imprisoned for a crime in which Diddy was allegedly involved. Shyne's downfall, like that of Mack, left a stain on Diddy's reputation and revealed a troubling pattern in how Bad Boy Records handled its artists. The falling out between Craig Mack and Diddy is just one chapter in a broader story of artist disputes at Bad Boy Records. While Diddy helped launch many careers, his methods often left artists feeling sidelined, underpaid, or even betrayed. Mack's early exit from the label reflects the complicated dynamics that many artists faced while working under Diddy's leadership. Early life and influences. Craig Jameson Mack was born on May 10, 1971, In the Bronx, New York, growing up in the lively atmosphere of hip-hop culture, Mack absorbed the sounds of Long Island during his youth. As a teenager, he adopted the stage name MCEZ, reflecting his growing passion for music. Although he is often remembered for his association with Diddy and the notorious B.I.G., Mack's career roots run deeper, connecting him with another legend, Erick Sermon of EPMD. Mack's first break came when he connected with EPMD, a Long Island duo that would shape his early career. Starting as a roadie for the group, Mack wasn't just a background figure. He formed a close bond with the members, particularly Erick Sermon, beginning in 1985. Over time, Sermon and his partner, Parrish Smith, had high hopes for Mack, seeing him as a future star under their label. However, things took a dramatic turn when EPMD's personal fallout disrupted their plans, leaving Mack stranded without the opportunity he had been banking on. Mack was initially slated to release his debut single, Get Retarded, under EPMD's label at Sleeping Bag Records. But with EPMD's disbandment, Mack's shot at stardom seemed to vanish overnight. DJ Scratch, who witnessed Mack's early years, described him as a deeply talented and humble individual. According to Scratch, Mack was an underrated MC with great skill and a genuine personality. But before Mack could take his place alongside other EPMD protégés like K-Solo and Redman, EPMD's breakup left him back at square one, struggling to find a new path. As fate would have it, Mack's big break came when Puff Daddy was on the hunt for new talent to build his roster at Bad Boy Records. At the time, Puff had already signed the notorious B.I.G. after leaving Uptown Records, but was still looking to expand his team. In a chance encounter outside Club Mecca in New York City, Mack's career took a pivotal turn. Alvin Toney, a promoter connected to EPMD, introduced Mack to Puff Daddy. Whether it was sheer luck or careful planning, the meeting was a turning point. Puff immediately saw potential in Mack, and soon enough, Mack was in Puff's inner circle. Mack was even featured riding shotgun in Puff's Lexus in the remix video for Mary J. Blige's You Don't Have to Worry. This marked the beginning of his journey as the first rapper to drop a single under Bad Boy Records. The decline, controversy, and health struggles. Despite his early success, Mack's career began to decline almost as quickly as it had risen. While Biggie's star continued to rise, Mack's second album, Operation Get Down, failed to match the success of his debut. As Biggie became the face of Bad Boy Records, Mack's contributions seemed to fade into the background. One of the most controversial aspects of Mack's later life involved his health struggles. He had been living with AIDS for years, and this devastating illness took a toll on his career and personal life. Some have speculated that Diddy's influence may have contributed to Mack's downfall, but these claims remain unproven. Mack became increasingly reclusive, turning away from the spotlight as his health deteriorated. He joined a religious group in South Carolina, distancing himself from the music industry. Though Mack had once been at the forefront of hip-hop's evolution, by the time of his death in 2018 at the age of 47, he had largely been forgotten by the mainstream audience. While Craig Mack may not have achieved the sustained success of some of his peers, his impact on hip-hop is undeniable. His debut single, Flava in Ya Ear, remains one of the genre's most iconic tracks, and his role in launching Bad Boy Records is often overlooked in favor of other artists. The circumstances surrounding Mack's relationship with Diddy remain a topic of debate. Some believe that Mack was pushed aside once Biggie's career took off, while others see it as a natural shift in the ever-evolving music industry. Regardless, Mack's contributions to hip-hop continue to be recognized by those who were there to witness his brief but impactful career. In revisiting Craig Mack's life, it's clear that his journey was one of immense talent, unfulfilled potential, and tragic circumstances. His story, like many in the music industry, serves as a reminder of both the heights of fame and the harsh realities that often accompany it. Craig Mack's early success. Craig Mack's journey to success reached its peak with the release of his debut album, Project Funk da World, on September 20th, 1994. The album included the hit single Flava in Ya Ear, a track that would become a hallmark of Mac's career. Other notable songs on the album included Get Down and Making Moves with Puff, while Flava in Ya Ear became an instant hit, climbing the Billboard Hot 100 to number 9. Get Down also found success, peaking at number 9, 38, and achieving gold status. Easy Mo Bee, the producer behind hits like Flava in Ya Ear, worked closely with Mac on the project, while Puff Daddy lent his vocals to the chorus of Making Moves with Puff. Despite its success and gold certification by 1995, Mac's album was soon overshadowed by the rise of another bad boy artist, the notorious B.I.G., whose album Ready to Die sold over 4 million copies. Ironically, Mac had boldly stated in the chorus of Flava in Ya Ear that you won't be around next year, but it was his own career that began to lose momentum. By the time 1994 came to a close, Biggie had become the breakout star of Bad Boy Records, leaving Mac in his shadow. Music critic John Caramanica noted this shift, comparing Mac's sidelining to how Tila Rock was marginalized by Def Jam or the DOC at Death Row. Despite being a trailblazer for Bad Boy, by 1995, Mac's career at the label came to an abrupt end. Craig Mack's departure from Bad Boy Records in 1995 was quiet, marked by little fanfare. His contributions to the label seemed to be quickly forgotten as Biggie's star continued to rise. Mac left behind a legacy of an LP, a few R&B remixes, and some soundtrack appearances, but his exit went unnoticed amidst the explosive growth of 90s hip-hop. His departure felt like an afterthought, signaling a swift end to what initially looked like a promising career at Bad Boy Records. Life after Bad Boy. After parting ways with Bad Boy, Craig Mack sought to reignite his career by teaming up with Eric B., who took on the role of executive producer for Mac's second album, Operation Get Down. Rumors circulated that Mac was poised to lead Death Row East, a planned extension of Suge Knight's Death Row Records, but those plans never materialized. Instead, Mac's album featured production from notable figures like Johnny J., who had worked with Tupac, and Prince Marky D. from the Fat Boys. Operation Get Down, released in 1997, failed to make a significant impact. The single, Jockin' My Style, depicted Mac sneaking into a party after having his style copied, perhaps a reflection of how he felt overlooked in the music industry. Despite the video's clever narrative, the album didn't perform well commercially or critically. It failed to break into the top 40 and didn't achieve gold status. The single, What I Need, barely made a dent on the charts, peaking at number 16 on the Hot Rap Singles chart. This disappointing release marked the beginning of Mac's retreat from the mainstream music scene. Over the next several years, he would only make occasional appearances on soundtracks or in underground releases. Mac's time in the spotlight seemed to be over. In 2002, Craig Mack made a brief return to the music scene, appearing on the remix of G. Dep's track Special Delivery. Alongside P. Diddy, Keith Murray, and Ghostface Killah, Mac's contribution to the remix was a reminder of his earlier success with Flava in Ya Ear. The remix served as a nod to Mac's role in the rise of Bad Boy Records and his influence on the label's early sound. Even though other Bad Boy artists like Mace and Shine had left the label amid controversy, Mac's appearance on the remix indicated that he still had ties to his old crew. He also made posthumous contributions, appearing on the notorious B.I.G.'s Born Again album and performing a skit on Black Rob's second album. These sporadic appearances showed that Mac hadn't completely distanced himself from the music industry or his Bad Boy family, even though his time in the spotlight had largely faded. Despite these brief returns to music, Craig Mack's focus in the later years of his life shifted away from the industry that had once defined him. He became involved with Overcomer Ministry, a religious group based in South Carolina, led by controversial preacher Brother R.G. Stair. This marked a significant shift in Mac's life as he distanced himself from his former fame and the world of hip-hop. His decision to join Overcomer Ministry raised eyebrows in the music community, but Mack appeared content in his new life. He spoke about the peace he found in his religious journey, seemingly leaving behind the chaos and competitiveness of the music industry for a quieter, more introspective existence. However, his health would continue to decline during this period, ultimately leading to his untimely death in 2018 at the age of 47. The complex relationship between Diddy and Craig Mack, Craig Mack's relationship with Diddy, though once a fruitful collaboration, became complicated over time. While Mack's debut with Bad Boy Records helped launch both his career and the label's rise to prominence, the dynamic between the two seemed to sour as Biggie's fame grew. Diddy's focus shifted away from Mack, placing more emphasis on the notorious B.I.G. as Bad Boy's flagship artist. This left Mack feeling sidelined, a sentiment that was echoed in his second album, where themes of being overlooked permeated the lyrics. Rumors have long circulated that Diddy's involvement, or lack thereof, in Mack's later career played a role in his fall from grace, but the reality is likely more nuanced. The changing landscape of hip-hop, combined with the explosive success of artists like Biggie, meant that Mack's moment in the spotlight was brief. Still, his contributions to Bad Boy's early success shouldn't be overlooked, even if his time with the label was short-lived. Craig Mack's transformation in the 2000s. When Craig Mack made the significant lifestyle shift by moving to the South, he immersed himself in a religious group called Overcomer Ministry in Walterboro, South Carolina. Tyler Huckabee of the Washington Post characterized this ministry as ultra-conservative. Mack's life took an unexpected turn as he not only embraced his faith, but also began expressing it through music, releasing tracks like When God Comes. According to Eric Sermon, one of Mack's close friends, Mack discovered Overcomer Ministry while going through a difficult period. Sermon explained that Mack found solace in the group by listening to AM radio, which led him down a path that few of his former colleagues or fans could have predicted. DJ Scratch, another longtime friend, believed that despite others not fully understanding his decision, Mack was truly happy with his new life. It was a surprising shift for Mack, who grew up in Suffolk County, New York, idolizing hip-hop legends like LL Cool J and Run DMC. However, Overcomer Ministry, led by controversial preacher R.G. Stair, had a troubled reputation. Stair was arrested in 2002 on charges of criminal sexual conduct following accusations from two women. He eventually pled guilty to lesser charges and served time in jail. The controversies didn't stop there. In December 2017, Stair was arrested again on charges that included sexual assault, kidnapping, and burglary. Despite the controversies surrounding the ministry's leader, Mack remained dedicated to his faith and community until his death. Reflecting on Mack's final years, Sermon shared that Mack was in a rough place emotionally and spiritually when he moved to South Carolina. He emphasized that the rapper's faith gave him a sense of purpose at a time when he was struggling, holding on to hip-hop roots. Though deeply involved in his religious community, Craig Mack never completely abandoned his connection to rap. In 2017, he self-released the Mack World Sessions, a raw collection of recordings that echoed his early days in hip-hop. These tracks revealed that, despite his spiritual transformation, Mack was still seeking his place in both the music industry and the world at large, much like he had been during his peak in the 1990s. When Bad Boy Records organized their highly anticipated family reunion tour in 2016, Mack chose not to participate. While his former label mates reunited on stage, Mack prioritized his commitment to Overcomer Ministry. He was using his talent to perform for his church congregation, rapping songs that reflected his spiritual journey. On May 21, 2016, while the Bad Boy reunion tour was happening in Brooklyn, Mack was performing in front of churchgoers, fully immersed in his faith. Puff Daddy, Diddy, who had founded Bad Boy Records, respected Mack's decision to forego the reunion tour. Diddy publicly stated that he understood Mack's choice to focus on his ministry, explaining that it wasn't about ego or ill feelings. Mack's health was a large part of his decision as well. Eric's sermon later revealed that Mack was grappling with serious health issues at the time, although he kept the extent of his illness private, only confiding in childhood friends as things worsened. Craig Mack's declining health. By 2014, Craig Mack's health had begun to deteriorate significantly. He suffered from severe symptoms, and noticeable weight loss fueled concerns among those close to him. Though he often confided in his inner circle that he was dealing with heart failure, the exact nature of his illness was unclear for some time. As the months progressed, his condition worsened. By the time he was nearing his final days, Mack was bedridden, relying on help to do even the simplest tasks, like walking. In the weeks leading up to his death, Mack's family visited him, allowing them to say their goodbyes. On March 12, 2018, Craig Mack passed away at 47 in Walterboro, South Carolina. His death was initially attributed to congestive heart failure, a claim that was widely accepted at the time. However, rumors later surfaced that Mack had been suffering from complications related to HIV and that he may not have been taking his medication. These rumors were later confirmed as accurate based on his death certificate.